Welcome to the Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast. I'm Kim McLaughlin and I'm your host. If you are looking to feel better in your life and want to feed your soul, you are in the right place. I'm Kim McLaughlin. I'm a psychotherapist, coach, author, and speaker. And here we believe life just doesn't have to be so hard. Today, our podcast is a special one. We're going to talk about how to know if it's time for therapy, 10 signs you shouldn't ignore. As I said in my intro, as you've heard from me talk about before, I am a psychotherapist in practice in California, and there are some things you need to know that you shouldn't ignore. And I often find people come to therapy later than sooner. So we're going to talk about that today. And the other thing is that people think that they don't deserve therapy. They might be okay. Things are okay. But really inside of themselves, they feel stuck and overwhelmed, disconnected, unhappy, depressed. And we're going to talk about that today, about what are those signs that you really shouldn't ignore. I want to talk about, before we go into that, I really want to talk about what you should do if you are at a crisis point, because there are signals that you really should go to counseling, and it's really not a wait and see kind of situation. We're in this podcast, we're here for education and general information. It's not a substitute for mental health treatment or care. So if you're in crisis, get help. I really encourage you. And mental health crisis looks different for different people, but I want to give you some of the signs to know if you might be having a crisis, something might be going on for you, or it actually might be somebody else that you know. And if these things are occurring, I really highly encourage you, seek out immediate professional help. 911 is one way to go, to look up on Google for crisis centers, also to Google therapists in my area around whatever situation is coming up. But these are the signs of when you need help now. And one would be if you're thinking of suicide, of hurting yourself or hurting somebody else. If you have any intention or plan of hurting yourself or others, you gotta seek help. We really need you and others to be safe. It's really important. So those are key critical times that you need to seek out licensed professional mental health providers. If you're experiencing hallucinations or paranoia or having problems distinguishing real from unreal, go seek help. If you're having a severe mental health crisis and a severe mental health episode, no matter what it might look like, if you can't take care of yourself or can't function well, seek mental health services immediately. If you're experiencing any kind of severe substance use or withdrawal, you really need to seek out help for that. And if you're feeling completely overwhelmed and feeling in immediate danger, call 911, call the mental health crisis line, call your local therapist, seek out somebody now. Don't wait until the end of this podcast. So I just wanted to let you know that there are some things that you need to just know that I'm telling you, you need to go, and you need to go now. And now what we're going to talk about is some more subtle signs that you might not realize are signs that you need to come in for therapy. People have a hard time coming for therapy for lots of different reasons. And we've talking about this on other episodes about money and about insurance and about who do I go to. We've talked about a lot of things, but there are some signs that I think you don't always realize are the signs that you really should look into going for therapy. So let's talk about what they are. There are 10 of them. So there are more than this. These are just some of the bigger ones that I've come up with that could help you discern whether it might be something you need. So one is your emotions feel bigger and more intense or harder to manage than usual. Things just feel harder. Your emotions feel harder. It feels like you can't, the way a therapist described it to me is a long time. So it feels like you're walking around with gum on your shoe. You just can't quite go fast because you feel like you're being held back. It can be things like you're crying more often than usual. You're not sleeping like you used to. You can't calm yourself down. You're very fidgety and get angry at people when you just don't even recognize yourself anymore. Those are really important times to check in and see about having therapy, because when you don't feel like you can manage your emotions, that's going to be a problem for you in your life. And we want to catch it sooner than later. I work with people that have their emotions get the best of them, and it can show up in relationships, and then your partner doesn't want to be married to you. It can show up with your kids and they walk away from you. It can show up at work, and then your boss is considering letting you go. So we don't want to have those end results happen. We want to talk about it and get it figured out sooner than later. Another way to know something that might happen that would mean you could use therapy is you keep experiencing the same problem over and over. It's a different day and the same problem. You're seeing the same relationship conflict, the same argument, the same thought pattern that feels really toxic, the same anxiety that you felt every other day that you can't seem to get over. You're finding behaviors are happening that are getting you in trouble that you just can't seem to stop. You feel like this compulsion that you just have to do it and you can't not do it. Those are good reason to go seek therapy. And if they've been happening for more than a day or two, more than a month, go get help. And I talk about how things don't have to be so hard. You can get help for these kind of things. And one of the ways to know is if the same thing, the same problem is happening over and over again, and it's just a different day, but the same problem. This third one I think is interesting because you might not recognize it. And once I talk about it, I think it will make things a little clearer. Is like you're functioning, you're doing okay, but you're just not enjoying your life. Seems flat. It doesn't seem bright. There's no way out of it. We talked in the last podcast about wellness tools, and you're trying wellness tools, you're trying things, and nothing seems to work. The things that used to work don't work anymore. So in this situation where you're functioning but not enjoying your life, you're going to work, you're taking care of the responsibilities, you're showing up when you're supposed to, and you just get things done, but you feel exhausted, disconnected, unhappy, unsupportive, and you just don't feel like you're thriving. And that is a great time to go for therapy because it can help you feel better in your life and feel more motivated to move forward and feel, I don't even look for people. I don't look for happiness. I look for joy and peace and contentment. Those are things that I help people find so that they just feel better about life. The fourth point that I would really encourage you to consider therapy is when you have a lot of anxiety and worry and you're overthinking and it's taking up too much space in your mind. You can't seem to get rid of it. People come in and talk with me about that all the time where they have these thoughts on repeat that they can't seem to move through, worrying about the future, worrying about what their family's going to do, replaying conversations from the past over and over again, thinking of the same thing and not being able to calm down anymore and not being able to let it go. Those can be helped with therapy. Those anxieties, worries, thoughts can be helped with therapy. And you don't need to spend that much mental energy focused on that stuff, and it really can move out. There's a lot of things we can do. I work with people on that all the time where there are things we can do to get rid of those thoughts that seem to be on the constant scroll in front of your face or constant loop. The audio is on constant loop. So I would encourage you to seek out therapy, especially when those things are happening, because it can be really helpful and lead to a more grounded and peaceful life. Hi, this is Kim. If something in today's episode brought up emotions or made you realize you'd like more support, you don't have to go through this alone. I work with people who are ready to feel more grounded, confident, and at peace in their lives. You can schedule a free 15-minute consultation and learn more about therapy and me at feedyoursoultherapy.com. The fifth idea I want to talk about is when your relationships feel constantly difficult and constantly draining, where it can be a relationship with a partner you're married to, a partner somebody that you're living with, a roommate, children, work relationships, family relationships, where they're draining and they're hard and you don't even want to be around those people anymore, but you probably have to if they're at some place in your life where you're more connected to them, where you can't set boundaries with them and you are engaging more in people pleasing so they don't get mad at you. You don't say things of what you need because you're afraid of how they're going to respond. You have these conflicts that are just over and over again, and they don't ever feel like they're getting settled. Those are really good reasons to seek therapy because those relationship patterns are indicative of something else that's going on. And I'm not going to say that it's the other person or it's you, but it's just figuring out within yourself what you need. Sometimes when those relationship problems are coming on, it can be a sign of needing couples counseling. It also can be a sign of needing family counseling where you're there to talk with the other people and not... Therapy can really help you understand those challenges. Therapy can help you understand those patterns and really create a healthier way of living and relating to other people. The sixth point that I want to talk about is you've experienced a major life change or transition. Things happen like divorce or separation, or somebody dies, or you become a parent. You become an empty nester when your kids go away to get married or go away to college. You have a career change, retirement. All kinds of things can happen that are really major life stressors that are really a great touch point to go to therapy, to start figuring out, how do I want to live my life? How do I want to be different in my life? Because when these changes happen, first, there generally is a large sense of grief when somebody leaves to go to college or somebody dies or there's a divorce. There is that grief, and then there's that movement into, now what's my life going to be like? What am I going to do? And how am I going to live? And therapy can be very helpful for that time because it's sometimes that transition is expected and sometimes it's unexpected. But it really is helpful to have somebody help you transition from where you were into where you want to go, most especially if there's a large feeling of grief that comes from this process. Another point, the seventh point that I have, is if you're using food, alcohol, work, shopping, Amazon, scrolling on the internet as your way to take care of behavior, to cope with what is going on. And those can really be detrimental. Using food in an out of control way can make you not feel good in your body, and other people might be concerned. You might increase your weight in a way that doesn't feel good for you. Alcohol, absolutely. Getting a DUI or getting in trouble with alcohol. Having trouble at work, over shopping, overspending is absolutely a problem that people have that can affect them individually. It also affects them financially, and it also can affect relationships because your partner might not be happy with the way that you're spending money or the amount of money that you're spending. So those can cause really big problems in relationships. And I just think that these are things that show up on the outside. They're kind of things that show up as behaviors, as external. And what I want to help you recognize is that it's something that's going on internally with your emotions, with your thoughts, with the trauma that might have gone in your life. And these are things that really can be helped with therapy, and we can help really get to the root of what's going on. And so it's not like going into absence where you just can't do anything. You have this kind of desire, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to engage in those behaviors. And this is what I'm going to do instead. And this is the feelings that have been coming up that I was trying to suppress by those things that I've been doing. And I want to live my life differently. Those are absolutely a time. And as we talked earlier, most especially with drugs or with any kind of alcohol, that those are behaviors that really can be at a crisis point. And that would be when I'd say, end the podcast now, go get some help, because it's really important that you get those taken care of as soon as possible. Another way that you could know that you're needing therapy or therapy could be helpful is if you feel stuck and you don't know what to do next. That is such a subtle thing, but you feel stuck and I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I want to do, that kind of apathy for life. I have lots of people who come in saying that they might have other things going on too, but just saying that they feel stuck and they don't feel on purpose. They don't feel happy. They don't feel engaged in their life or connected to anybody. That is a really horrible feeling. And I think those are the feelings that can get put under the carpet or not addressed because you just live with it and it goes on year after year. Therapy can be that place where you just slow down and have the help of somebody else have you figure out, what is it that's going on for me? What is it that I need? What can I do for myself? And how can I understand this situation differently? Those are all really important because you don't want to keep coming back to that stuck point. You want to have an opportunity to recognize it, understand it, grow from it, and then what am I going to do differently? And therapy can be so helpful for those things. Another point, the ninth point that I have, thinking of what might be some signs for you to think about therapy, is other people notice a change in you. They're concerned about you. They start saying things like, I'm concerned about what's going on for you. I've noticed a change in your behavior. I've noticed a change in your attitude. I've noticed a change in the things that you're talking about, and I'm feeling concerned. And I want to make sure you're okay. And if you hear one person say that once and you go, I'm fine, and you check in, do it yourself and you're fine. But if the person says it repeatedly, or if most especially if multiple people say it, that's really the time to think about maybe something's going on that I'm not recognizing. And I need an outside person to help me check in with myself, to see what's going on, and then to see what I need and see what could be helpful to me. And that really trusted, confidential person who's not connected to your life can really help you figure out what you need, rather than sometimes friends or coworkers or people we're in relationship with, family members, will tell us what to do, tell us what we should be like. And what I like about therapy is it gives you the space to figure out what you want in your life and how you want to be and what would work for you. I say that all the time to my clients. I'll say, and what do you need? What's right for you? And that's where we get in that mode of mindfulness and take a deep breath and wonder, what is right for me right now? And sometimes that can be hard to get to. And that's where having a trusted confidant can be the best way to move through that kind of struggle in your life. And the last point I wanted to talk to is you just keep thinking, maybe I should go talk to somebody. Maybe I need to go get some help. And if you've been thinking about therapy, if you've been wondering, if you've been searching for therapists or reading articles or listening to this podcast and going, dang, maybe therapy might help you. Yeah, it can. And with the right fit, with having the right conversation with the right therapist, it really can help you. And I just say life is too short to feel upset, to feel sad. Life's too short to be in pain. And there are ways to move through it that can be really helpful. So think about these ideas the points that I've brought up about what might be going on. And if any of them resonate with you, maybe it's time for you to seek out counseling and wonder if it could be helpful to you. And I want to give you some questions that you can ask yourself if you're just not sure that what you need, here are some questions to ask yourself. And I'll put these in the show notes for you so that you can refer back and read them and see what fits for you. And some questions are, what's been weighing on me lately? That's a really important one. What's been weighing on you and bothering you and resting heavy on your shoulders? How long have I been feeling this way? Really looking back and going, has this been a day or 2 or 3? Often I find people will tell me, it's not a week, it's not a month, it's been years. You've been feeling this way where it just doesn't feel right. And is this, another question, is this affecting my relationships at work? With other people, with my close personal friends? Is it affecting my sleep or my health or my enjoyment of my life? If what's going on in you is affecting what's going on around you, maybe it's time to check in, and therapy could be really helpful. Another question is, what have I already tried? Have I tried things? Have I tried everything I can think of and I just don't know what to do anymore? It could be that you've tried therapy and maybe it's time for a different therapist. Maybe it's time for a therapist with a different modality. I don't know. What we know is that when you find a therapist, somebody to work with that you really believe has your best intention at heart, has your best life at heart, that they get you and they want to help you, that's your right person. That's your best person, no matter what modality is they work on, but that you really believe that they get you. And if you try somebody that you don't think gets you, try somebody else. Try somebody else. And what I want you to know is that if you try different things, if you try different wellness tools, if you try different modalities and there's no change in the next 6 months, are you going to be okay with that? If you do nothing, or if you just engage in something and nothing changes, is that going to be okay? And there gets to be a point where if this thing continues, I really need to get some help. I really need to find somebody else to talk to help me out, to help me figure out what I can do. I really encourage you that if any of this resonated with you, if you're wondering, maybe I'm struggling in a way that's not good for me and I could use some help, seek out a mental health therapist. If you're in the state of California, you can give me a call. You can send me a text, send me an email. You can schedule a free consultation with me. I'll put that in the show notes. And I work with people within the state of California. If you're outside of the state of California, look for somebody local to you. Find a mental health professional that is local to you that you feel gets you so you can get help and start feeling better, because I promise it's possible. There is hope. There is help. There is a way to move through this. And lastly, if this episode resonated with you, it would please me so much. It would really help us if you follow the Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast and share it with somebody. If there's somebody that you're concerned about with their mental health and you want to make sure that they have some ideas and wondering for themselves, please share this podcast with them. I would appreciate it. They would appreciate it. And it helps spread the word more so we get out there and make sure that everybody's living their best life and feeling as good and as enlivened as they can. I'm Kim McLaughlin. I'm from Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast. I'm so glad you've been here with us. I look forward to talking with you again, and I look forward to hearing what you do based on this podcast episode. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast. We love bringing you fresh content to help you feed your soul. We would appreciate it if you would subscribe and leave a comment about our podcast so others can find us. Here's a disclaimer. This podcast is not a replacement for mental health counseling. If you are suffering, seek out a qualified mental health provider. You are worth it.